Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of 15 Minutes of Fame. I'm Al Gilbert, the Chief Listening Officer of AdvisoryOptions.net. Happy holidays. I love listening to interesting people, and I have not one but two very interesting people guests today. The first is Drew Mitchell. He's a regional travel manager for the Americas at Cognizant and also president of the Silicon Valley Business Travel Association. Welcome, Drew.
Thank you. Hello.
And Mark Ziegler, Senior Travel Manager at NetApp and President of the Chapter President's Council of the Global Business Travel Association and President of the Bay Area Business Travel Association. Welcome, Mark.
Hi, everybody.
First question is, how are you guys holding up, personally first? Either one.
Personally?
Yeah.
Actually, I'm doing okay. Since I'm not in the Bay Area anymore, I'm in the Sacramento area. It's a little different up here in Placer County rather than in San Francisco, where we were for 30 years. So working at home all the time can be boring, but it can be interesting too. And I have grandkids nearby, so they come and visit all the time.
Good.
They live right down the hill.
And Drew, how about you?
So I'm down in Santa Cruz, and we have been very sheltered. So we've only left our house, I think, still less than 10 times since March 8th of this year. So so all of our groceries are sent in. Everything is. So I don't know how much longer it's going to be like this, but we're kind of in our routine. We have a 4-year-old. He's in his routine. He's happy with his morning activities and learning. So yeah, we're going. We're good.
Good. And thinking of your membership in SVBTA and BAPTA, the individual members, what are you hearing anecdotally? How are they doing?
It's pretty rough for some of them, especially I think for the hotel people more than anybody. I think the hotels have been hit the hardest. Airlines have been too, but the hotels have really been hit hard. And so a lot of them are closed and then open and closed again. We've lost a lot of members that have had to move on, really. I mean, a lot of members. So I would say about a third maybe that have been affected, because we do have a lot of hotel members in the chapter.
Yeah, you're right.
I would say the same. I mean, I don't have a number. A third probably sounds about right. It could be even more. But yeah, I mean, a lot of our supplier partners, so if they're, rental car ground, any transportation, they were all affected. And, we have Lyft and Uber nearby too. And we've seen a drop, and, we are certainly concerned about, retaining members going forward. And, how can we, provide something of value to our members that, for all of them. So whether they're working, whether they're not, just something that is, can brighten their day, but also, give them some additional knowledge that they can use.
Yeah. And what about the membership fees? I know they were waived for 2020. Any direction on 2021?
Well, my expectation is that it will continue extending through 21. Anybody that needs it. BAPTA's not necessarily putting a blanket extension for everyone, because there are certain areas that can still contribute and pay.
Yeah.
I'm an example. As a travel manager, I budget for it, and my company is still willing to pay for that. So I will continue to do that, and some others will as well. But anybody who needs it, anybody whose company, airlines, hotels, car rentals, whoever that don't have the budget and are not able to be reimbursed, will go ahead and extend at least through 21.
Okay, so the rule of thumb might be if you are employed, then it's reasonable to expect you to renew at the membership level. But if you're unemployed and looking, you could apply for a waiver.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So SVBTA, very similar. We're still kind of sorting it out how it's going to work, but we are going to be opening up our scholarships and what we want in January. And so what we're proposing and what we're trying to get people to do is to renew their membership and then apply for the scholarship to be reimbursed. And so they don't have the expense. So it's basically, we want to keep our member roster, but then if we have funds, definitely reimburse them for, their membership fees.
Okay. And looking back at your role as travel managers, with travel being almost non-existent, how are you staying busy professionally, or to be more blunt, how are you staying relevant?
Whoa, that's a tough one. We're actually pretty busy. We still did a hotel RFP, a quasi hotel RFP this year. Mm-hmm. I'm still contacting all my airlines and talking to them about extensions. Basically, there's not really much to negotiate unless you have data to back it up. So we're just extending pretty much there. And with car rental, it looks like we're extending those as well. We had one of our 2 car rental companies that ended up being extended. And we're still talking. So those are things, but we're also revamping the policy. We've had to put in place a pre-approval process that we had dropped just last year. Mm-hmm. And then we've got a lot of, recently when we're talking about budget, we've got the budget is being worked on for 2022 because our fiscal year starts in May of 21. So we're working on budgets right now. We're trying to give some advice and some direction to the various business units about what to expect for travel and what we think will happen for travel. It's kind of a guessing game, but we're trying to be educated about it and give them advice. So that's something I've been working on as well.
Oh,
and Drew, you mentioned a 300-page travel policy.
Yeah, so one of my really big accomplishments this year is we have had a 300-page global travel policy with all the addendums, everything you can think of, and we have dropped it down to 7 pages. And it's been approved. It got really great leadership remarks. So in addition to the policy document, we have a procedures document, which answers the how-to. So that's been a big chunk of time, but just a really neat thing to do because it gave me an opportunity to say, okay, is this still relevant, this policy? Because we went into things like, extended stay. So if you're staying beyond 2 weeks, this is what we expect you to do. The new policy, we don't really talk about it. If you have a question above and beyond, go, ask us the question. And then what else we've been doing is, so I report into procurement. And so we have been kind of all grabbing. I have a very large team. There is 18 of us. So we have not traveled since March 11th. Travel has been stopped, and travel will be stopped through April 30th of next year, as of right now. So we know we're not going to have a travel for over a year. And so the things that we've been grabbing at is we are now working on a supplier diversity policy for Cognizant. That's something I've never had to deal with. And so we've been going out benchmarking, and then we've been doing more on, I'm learning how to use Catalyst, which is an invoicing system. I'm learning how to use Ariba to onboard suppliers and contracts. It's like the more that we're asking, the more that we're getting. And so it's great. And the team has done nothing but pretty much expand because we've had just so much more stuff to do. Yeah. And we have finished an agency RFP this year. We're doing our hotel RFP. Our car rentals are getting extended. Everything is like we've just taken it out and gone forward. So it's been a really good year.
So one of the ways that travel has changed is that travel restrictions or pre-approvals have been extended into next year. Mm-hmm. In what ways do you think corporate travel has been changed almost forever?
Wow.
So for me, I I will probably be much more cautious when I travel. Like just washing my hands, just that public health knowledge. I know that that'll be a change for me. I mean, not that I didn't before, but it's like right now I'm, every 30 seconds, it's like, quick, where's the sanitizer, practically. So I see that, just awareness and cleanliness awareness or sanitation awareness. Also, I'm kind of freaked out when people cough or, things like that. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think you're right about that, Drew. So, Mark, in addition to health concerns, do you think transactions will be just a number of transactions will be a fraction, maybe 60-70% of what it used to be, or?
What I'm hearing, and this came through my CEO, was he recently attended a Silicon Valley CEO meeting, and one of the things they talked about was travel, and the expectation that they thought that they came back to us with was that they thought by the mid 21 we would get about 60% of the customer facing travel would be back mid-year, and by the end of 21 it would be up to about 80%, and that's only customer facing. Internal travel would probably only get to about 30%. And that's what I think I'm seeing, is that really when we travel in the future, for whatever you travel for, you're going to have a more of a justification, be more cognizant for your
I'll take it.
of what you're traveling for, and have an ROI for that travel. And that's what I think is really going to happen, is that people are going to definitely have to justify every penny. And also I think that travel will be more, instead of thinking of it as a cost, I think we're going to have to think of it as the benefit of, there will be a benefit from the travel. The company will have to have a benefit from the travel. That's what you're going to have to justify when you get out there and start traveling again. So it's going to be a little different, and I think that's permanent. We're not going back to our offices till July.
Right.
So we've got a 4-building campus that is empty right now, and we won't go back there until at least July.
So let me ask this question relative to the offices. I don't know if in your work or your company, guys, people have relocated out of state because it's safer and cheaper. And if they do, do you think the travel policy will allow them to come back into the office when they want to? Because that's expensive to fly back from out of state now.
Well, I know we've got some executives that have moved away and that they have been traveling. We actually there was an executive meeting that I understand. It was kind of quiet, but yeah, it happened. And I think that those people had to travel from a number of places around the country. In fact, our current new president that started in July flew from Spain to get back here for a meeting. So I think that those things are going to be looked at, but I think we're going to be a lot more liberal about working from home and not having to be in the office nearly as much as we used to.
Do you think the work from home policy will be married to or integrated somehow with the travel policy?
I don't know if it'll be integrated with that. I think that'll just be up to every department. I don't think that it's going to be a company-wide policy. I think it's just going to be up to each business unit in each department about how they handle that.
I should ask the question differently, because Drew and I talked about this earlier. The work from home policy is more expense related, so it might become more part of the travel and expense policy as to what you can deduct and expense and what you can't.
Right. Well, NetApp right now, while we're out of the office, is giving us like a $50 a month expenses for office needs, things like that. But I think when we start to really get closer to evaluating coming back, I think everyone's going to have to evaluate what the need is to be back in the office and what they're coming for. I can go back to my office right now, but I have to get an appointment with safety and security. They have to come in with me. I have to do whatever I need to do and then leave. And then they'll bring in people to clean my desk for after I leave. That I can do that, but I haven't done it, but I could.
Let me go back to the supplier side of it again. If a supplier were to call you with it, and they want to give you a pitch either for a new product or a new service, is your feeling, hey, call me later when travel is back, or okay, I've got time now, I'll listen?
Call me now.
Call you now?
Yeah.
I would say the same. Yeah. I mean, I'm talking to people now about new things, and we're considering some new technology right now.
Okay.
Yeah, we are. It's a good time. It depends on what it is, of course, but yeah.
I mean, yeah, we were talking to gamification suppliers earlier this year, and I mean, it came to be like, okay, now's not the time to talk about it, because we're not going to have travel for so long. So that's one of the projects that did stop.
Okay. Who's going to ask you that? All right, I'll just go off to another tangent for a moment. Pete Buttigieg, Secretary of Transportation. What do you think? What do you think?
I didn't know he was interested.
I was a little surprised because I don't know what kind of experience he has with transportation. He's a smart guy, obviously. He's very eloquent and very well spoken, but I don't know what he knows about travel and transportation. I haven't seen that yet. It remains to be seen. I mean, I guess he can do it, but he's going to need a lot of help.
I like you. I'm not sure what his qualifications were, other than the fact that
he's a supporter, a political supporter.
Yeah, he's a political supporter
of Biden. Yeah, and I don't have anything against him, but I don't know.
I have no idea.
We'll see.
All right. Hey, let me go back to airlines. Under the current conditions of COVID, infections are racing out of control. Hospitals are running out of room. Do you think the airlines really should be promoting travel?
That's a tough one.
I don't want you to get in trouble with anybody, but
Well, I mean, travel is a major economic factor. I mean, it's necessary to do business around the world. It's just something that's integrated into everything. Travel's important. At the same time, right now, with the spike in what's happening with the number of people dying, number of people getting COVID, it's not wise necessarily to travel if there's a chance that you're going to spread it or you're going to get it. It's just that simple right now. So I wouldn't say that it's a good or bad. It's a necessary thing, but right now it's probably a little dicey to be encouraging it. GBTA has this new campaign called Ready, Safe Travel. The safe needs to be the most important thing right now for that. But eventually we want to promote that, and we want people to travel and get back into the industry because it's an economic driver.
Yeah, no, it is an economic driver. What would you think of a campaign if an airline came out and said, COVID conditions are very severe right now. We want your business, but we want you to stay safe. We're offering an X percentage discount on airline tickets. Buy it now before the end of the year or in the January, but don't travel, or it's valid for travel in April or May.
They've already kind of pitched that.
Yeah,
prepaid credits. They've pitched it. We said no.
Well, that's on the corporate side, I guess. But you're saying that they pitched a discounted budget?
Yeah. So if you prepay, just like with prepay hotel rates, we'll give you 20% off, or whatever it could be. And
but
no matter,
did they restrict the actual time of travel to a later, safer time?
No, I think you had the funds expire like after 2 years. So you have, whenever you start it for 2 years. So no actual start date.
We're not willing to spend that kind of money up front either.
No.
We haven't done it.
And especially with all the COVID tickets we're sitting on.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
there's-
UATP accounts with various airlines, we're not going to spend much money for a while.
Exactly.
They're not going to get revenue from us for a while. Now, on a personal note, I just rebooked a trip that we canceled last September. We were supposed to go to Africa.
Mhm.
We rebooked for next August. So
Okay.
I'm hoping by then I have a COVID vaccines and that I can go. We rebooked, and I'm crossing my fingers because this is a huge, big bucket list trip.
Man.
So we'll see. Kenya
Yeah.
and Tanzania.
Wow, that'd be a great trip. How have you seen the TMCs adapt to the COVID situation? So what I'm thinking of this is, so many travel agents and support staff have been furloughed or terminated. Are you concerned that when your travelers return, there won't be anyone at the TMCs to answer the phone?
I'm not. So we've had conversations with Amex just about this, and when we're ready to come back online, whether it be relocations, whether it be just client travel, they've told us that they will scale up as quickly as possible, and that they have agents on pool, they have agents on ready and waiting to be hired back. And that it's just a flip of a switch, and then they have to learn our program. So I'm pretty confident that it'll be okay, and it's not like May 1 we're just going to have 100,000 travelers. It's going to be very slow, and Amex will have an opportunity to ramp up, I think.
How about you, Mark?
Well, we have BCD, and we converted to BCD in the US in February of this year.
Okay.
We went one week. Well, we didn't know what was going to happen, but we went 1 week full bore with them, had all these bookings, and then it stopped immediately. I mean, after 1 week. So we had a team in place, a dedicated team. We had the people we wanted. Everything was all going. We had all our meetings. We had executive admins all lined up, and we were doing well. But of course, things changed quickly. And so we are in a bucket of, the number of people that they kept were minimal. And so we're not with a dedicated team now. So that we are traveling. I've got about 150 travelers right now around the US that are traveling domestically. And so what I run into is that they don't know our account, and they make some errors at times because they just don't know us. More to do with the approval process that's been put in place than anything. That's been the trouble that we've had. And even sometimes form of payment has been an issue because we've got different BTAs for different things. So that's the kind of thing that's happened because of the limited number of travel advisors that are available. And it's been a little bit of a problem, but not a huge one.
Do you think when travel returns to so-called normal that they'll be able to bring back the people that were on your team, or do you think they might have moved on to other industries? Or
I think the people, some of them may come back, probably, but the majority probably won't. I don't think so. I don't think so.
Yeah.
Well, let me wrap up with one question. And so, Drew and Mark, you've been very open-minded over the years. I think you're very approachable. It's a compliment. Mark, you've always looked at new industries and new ideas that I brought to you. But I remember one particular vendor that I shared with you, and their big selling pitch was that, we've got this great dashboard, and you can run reports of this factor anytime you like. And you said something I'll never forget. You said, perfect. Just one more thing I need to manage.
Oh, no, I did? I don't remember.
But that's okay, because that's a very honest point. And so the thing is that, there are so many different third-party services out there related to corporate travel. Do you think, travel managers will ultimately have to manage a number of different things, or do you think there might one day be a travel platform that could almost do it all.
Well, technologically, I think that there will be, that's got to happen someday. But I've been saying that for 20 years.
All right.
I mean, I've been thinking, you know, we talked about the super PNR that people have talked about for years and years and years and years and years, and it's never happened. I mean, it's capable of happening with the technology that we have today, but whether it will be accepted and used is another story. So I'm just seeing that there's still so many vendors out there, and there's different things that can happen, and that like CDC, NDC, for instance. You know, we keep talking about NDC, and it's a big issue, but it's just kind of limping along now. And some companies are going forward, some are not. So we'll see.
Yeah, and of course, this COVID year has put everything back a year.
And everything's gone back. Yeah, and yeah, it's just it's not going to happen overnight. It's just going to be an evolving process.
Yeah, Drew, what do you think?
Yeah, I think we've been wishing for it. I mean, when I joined the industry, you know, I was told from BCD World Travel, oh, it's coming. You know, here comes total trip costs. We're going to get all this wonderful stuff. We're still waiting. We're all travel managers wish that there was a one platform. We're still waiting.
Well, I predict that it will happen. It's just that at the time it happens, Drew, you'll be a grandfather, and Mark
I'll be gone.
Mark will be long retired. So
yeah, well.
Mark Ziegler and Drew Mitchell, thank you very, very much for your time. We wish you happy holidays, and be safe out there. Talk to you in the future, okay?
Thank you so much.
You, Al. Thank you. Take care.